this keeps happening, the building's gonna come down. I am not gonna survive that. Hello and welcome back to my silly little life. Today we're gonna talk about the earthquake that happened yesterday. Cause that was crazy. Okay. So yesterday was a weird fucking day for Bangkok because we got hit by the earthquake that hit Myanmar literally over 1,000 kilometers away. Like, to put into perspective how far away the epicenter of this was to my friends and family back in Canada, and how crazy it is that this much damage happened here in Bangkok. This would be like a massive earthquake happened in Vancouver and buildings fell down in Calgary and Edmonton from it, okay? Not just vibrations, not just like when that's happened and we feel the little rumble in Alberta and we're like, whoa, did Vancouver have an earthquake? No, buildings falling down that far away from it. So when my friends and family are reaching out and saying like, oh, are you near where that happened? Are you safe? I'm like, well, like, I am nowhere near where it happened, but also, yes, it happened here too. Yep, but also I am safe. So I'm safe, animals are safe, everybody's good. I think the magnitude ended up settling at 7.7 is what they decided it was. I've heard differing reports. Some people have been like, it was upgraded to an 8.2, but all of the news reports and everything I'm seeing still say 7.7. But I was completely taken off guard and unprepared because Bangkok is not in an earthquake zone. This is not a normal occurrence here. Like, little tremors, aftershocks, and things from big quakes that happen on fault lines, 1,000 kilometers away are a thing that can happen, but proper earthquakes don't happen here. It's not one of the things Bangkok has to be prepared for. And I didn't have an earthquake preparedness plan in my head. I'm fine, my building's fine, my pets are fine, there appears to be no structural damage to my building whatsoever. I am in a small building, it's like 6 stories, so not a big deal. I'm only a couple floors up, but the fact that I am only a couple floors up and it felt like I was a leaf in the wind, like my building was actually swaying like this. It felt like being a boat on water, or like we were a leaf in the breeze. It really did, and my first thought was wind, because that's what it felt like. I've experienced earthquakes before, never major ones, but the ones I've experienced have always been rumbly, and you feel that shaking, the tremors. This didn't have any of that. It felt like wind, and the whole building was shaking. So my first thought wasn't earthquake. My first thought was, what the fuck is happening? Is that the wind? And then I kind of thought, was there construction? Because they've been doing renovations in the building. I'm like, oh no, were they renovating some of the columns? Did they damage it? And are we swaying because the building's going to buckle? That was what I thought before earthquake. And so it took me a second or two before I was like, fuck, it's going on too long. I think it might be an earthquake. And I got in the door frame. And then I was in the door frame for a while before the thought kind of hit me that Bangkok is not an earthquake zone. So buildings here probably are not built to withstand earthquakes. This is very big and it's going on for a very long time. If this keeps happening, the building's gonna come down. I am not gonna survive that. I didn't have a plan. I didn't have an earthquake preparedness plan, which I sure do in my brain now, because just having a plan of what to do in that situation in your mind is absolutely critical. Even if you don't have a go bag ready, as long as you know, like, okay, I do this step, this step, this step, you know what to do. Super important for any disaster situation. I didn't think I needed that in Bangkok for earthquakes because, we're not supposed to get them. And I heard other people in my building evacuating, so I jumped out in the hallway, saw people going. I was chatting with the woman on my floor and she's like, I'm from Japan and I think we should leave. And I'm like, you would know more than me. Okay, we're leaving the building. And apparently most buildings in Bangkok were fully evacuated onto the street, which is interesting because in earthquake zones, you are taught to stay in your building, that it's much more dangerous if you go out on the street. Like, falling debris is more dangerous than being in the buildings. But in a city like Bangkok, these buildings are probably not built to stand this. Everybody's like, okay, we go outside now because in the building might not be safe. And I cannot stress enough how much I felt like a leaf in the wind in my building. It was crazy. So I cannot imagine how terrifying that was for people in high rises when I'm only like a couple floors up and it felt like that. They must have felt like they were being whipped around. I would have shit myself. Are you kidding? So went outside, was trying to Google what the fuck was going on. Where is the earthquake? You know, is there a bigger one coming? All of the things you're trying to find out. And there was no information yet while it was going on. And then as we were all still waiting outside and it was still happening, you could still feel the ground moving. That's when information started coming in. And at first it said it was a 4.9 right outside of Chiang Mai, like in Myanmar, but just past where Chiang Mai is, very, very close to that. And then as I was Googling and watching, it got upgraded to a 7.7 and the epicenter got moved further inland. I think the initial reports were just, I don't know, Google being weird, speculation, who knows. Obviously, as people know, a building did come down in Bangkok. It was under construction, so no fully completed buildings did come down. And people are now arguing online, it's very fun, as to whether Bangkok buildings are designed to withstand earthquakes or not, because the government has said that they are, but nobody trusts the government, and then people are arguing about that, and this is not an earthquake zone, so why would they be built to withstand that? But then also reports online are saying that this earthquake didn't hit the levels where that is a danger to buildings. It doesn't make any sense, and I'm confused, okay? I don't know. There has been a lot of reports of structural damage, and in fact, one of the super fancy condo buildings in Bangkok that is made of 3 towers with 2 skywalks in between, both of the skywalks sheared off, and all 3 towers were just wiggle wobbling, not attached to each other. So that's pretty intense, and I'm seeing photos and photos and photos of structural damage inside of buildings, a lot of people with cracking on their walls, and at this point, we don't really know inside of these buildings whether that's just cosmetic, is that just the plaster that cracked, which is fine, or is it foundationally cracked behind the plaster? It's going to take a long time before we know how many of these buildings are currently unlivable. But I have been told by a lot of people who live in big high-rises that were near areas that got hit with a little harder tremors, that they haven't been allowed back in their buildings yet. So, could be pretty bad. Apparently the government declared a state of emergency, but I don't know what measures they're going to be taking, other than coming in and checking all of the buildings for structural issues, right? Because they're going to have to do that with every single building in Bangkok, it seems like. It was intense. Again, I'm only a couple floors up. People at the top of other buildings must have just been whipping around like maniacs. I can't imagine. But at the end of the day, I've got 3 cats and a dog. The dog will walk herself, right? Just got to throw a leash on her, but corralling 3 cats in an emergency situation, not easy. And I wasn't sure what my best course of action was. So I do have a plan now where it's going to be like, okay, the 2 elderly cats that are easy to grab are getting thrown in a carrier, the dog will get leashed, and the 3rd cat is going to be just manhandled, like scrub his neck the whole way down. If I got to, I got to. And just hold on to him. What I would need, a friend suggested, who lives in an earthquake zone, a power bank in the go bag. And the go bag would be the cat carrier. So put a fully charged phone power bank with a charger in there. Realistically, anything else, you're fine. Like toothbrush, clothes, whatever. I'm kind of like, I don't see that as a priority. That's something I can get again. Or if I go a couple days without brushing my teeth, I'm not going to die, right? As long as my cats get out, I've got an ability to charge my phone, I've got an ability to pay for a hotel, we're good. And the dog. I just said cats. I meant pets. Coconut, I'm sorry. So, interestingly, my boyfriend, who lives in the countryside out in Nakhon Nayok, about 2 hours away, didn't actually feel the earthquake, which was weird. So obviously he's the first person I texted when this was happening. I'm just like, earthquake? What is happening? Is this normal? As I'm freaking out. And he gets back to me maybe 15, 20 minutes later, like, what are you talking about? He had no idea what happened. He didn't feel it at all. And I think it's because, unlike other earthquakes I've experienced, where, like I said, it's kind of grumbly and rumbly and it feels like an earthquake, this felt like being a boat on water in my building. So I have a feeling that if you were ground level, which he was, you might not notice, or you might mistake it for heat stroke or just getting real dizzy or something, right? But being up in the buildings, you could feel the swaying and you felt the ground moving, because there's no other way a building would move like that. But also, I don't know if maybe he's at a higher elevation. I don't know if maybe that area just didn't feel it like Bangkok did for some reason. I don't know how earthquakes work, okay? But it was weird. It was a weird experience, so I just wanted to talk about it and share kind of what it felt like, and, you know, just let you guys know you should always have a disaster preparedness plan. Even if you don't have a kit, just have a plan, because having a plan's the most important thing. Because I was just caught without a plan and I froze. I didn't freeze. I got in my door frame like you are supposed to do. But while I was in my door frame and I was contemplating what to do next, it felt like I was frozen, because I didn't know what my plan would be. I didn't know what I should do. Yeah, just have a plan. Even if it's just in your head, trust me, having the plan in your head when it comes down to that moment is huge, and it might stop you from freezing, because you immediately go, oh, I know what to do. Or at least you know what first step to take. Like, first step, grab the bag. Second step, grab the dog's leash, whatever it is. So obviously, I'm not trying to downplay it. This was a devastating earthquake. A lot of people have lost their lives, especially in Myanmar. We won't actually know the extent of the damage here in Bangkok or anywhere else in Myanmar or neighboring countries for a while. There are a lot of workers missing at the construction site in Bangkok where the building fell down. So definitely keep them in your thoughts. Keep the people of Myanmar in your thoughts. They are already in the middle of a civil war, and it's brutal. It's absolutely brutal for them over there. The destruction is incredible. So yeah, stay safe, have fun, and go have an adventure. And don't let this stop you from traveling. Don't let it stop you from coming to Thailand or going anywhere else. It's a freak accident. We don't get earthquakes here. This was real crazy. So that's about it. Bye, guys.